Good morning, everybody. This is Lara with your Monday to Friday update for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP. Before I get into it, if you're not subscribed here, please do so that you don't lose my channel, because I'm giving you these three markets 5 days a week for free. I've got 16 years experience using technical analysis in Elliott Wave, 11 of those as a chartered market technician. You're getting that experience and that professional qualification here for free. It's a pretty good deal, so hit the subscribe button. Also, we're going to be launching a new Ethereum subscription on our website, Pure Elliott Wave, so that you'll be able to get a full in-depth Elliott Wave and technical analysis of Ethereum every Monday reliably. When we launch that, we'll give a grandfather rate for the first 24 hours that will never be offered again. If you want to take advantage of that, get on our notification list, click the link below in the description box and give us your email, sign up to that list. We'll only let you know about that particular thing, the Ethereum launch, if you're on that list, and once we've launched it, we'll delete the list, so you're not going to get spam from us. I hate spam. We'll let you know a few days before we launch, and we'll let you know again on launch date, so you don't miss that grandfather rate. It was on this date that the last Bitcoin halving happened on 19th of April, and it didn't really yield much movement at all. We had an outside session with whipsaws, but price remained within the consolidation. Resistance about 73,100 to 71,500, support about 60,700, maybe to about 60,000. The halving didn't yield a breakout of this long-held consolidation that's just been going on for a couple of months or so now. This is a really good example of why I don't take fundamentals into account. This is why my analysis is almost always purely technical, because quite often expectations around an event like that, which is a fundamental approach, doesn't actually yield anything. Perfect example here. Price is still going sideways within this rectangle pattern. There is a 66% chance that price will break out upward, a 33% chance price will break out downward. So in balance of probability, I am expecting an upward breakout. That's because rectangle patterns, when they occur after an upward trend, most commonly 2/3 of the time break out upward when they're complete. The moving average situation still pretty bullish. The mid is above the short. Both of those are above the long, and price is above the long, and the long has a positive slope. Overall, the probability of good things happening when your moving averages look like this is more likely than not. And the larger trend for Bitcoin at the monthly time frame does still remain very firmly up. This market has a strong bullish bias. For the last few sessions, price is moving slowly lower with declining range and declining volume. Volume is now really light as price has been in this consolidation for several weeks now. I expect when we see a breakout that situation will change and we will again see volume return to the market. These consolidations could be considered opportunities, but unfortunately, when prices are low or stagnant, people often lose interest and they won't buy. But when prices are high and volatility is high, it garners more interest, and that's when people buy. So they buy high and then they sell low, which is the exact opposite of what you need to do to make money. It's disappointing to see less interest in this market as price is just moving in a slow consolidation, especially when it's around support. You would think when price is in a consolidation and it hits support, that's a good opportunity to buy. That's generally how it would work, I think, but it doesn't seem to be the case. Price is consolidating, on-balance volume is still consolidating. If we get an upward breakout, that'd be bullish, downward breakout would be bearish. This consolidation from on-balance volume now has really good technical significance. A signal either way will be given a lot of weight. ADX is telling us there's a downward trend for the short term. It's telling us it's extreme again because the ADX line is above both DX lines, but it's not nearly as extreme as it can get for this market. And RSI isn't oversold. If there is indeed a downward trend for the short term, there's quite a long way to go before it reaches extreme, but weakness in volume and range and price remaining within that rectangle pattern strongly suggest it's not going to break below support, although that could happen. If it does, there'd be a ways to go for a downward trend to continue. But I'd want to see a break below support before I really had confidence in that view. Money flow also neutral. ATR strongly declining for the last few days as price moves very slowly lower, just drifting downward on weak volume and range. There is no strength in downward movement to suggest that Bitcoin is in a big bear market. If it is in a big bear market, we should be seeing push from volume and especially an increase in range. We're just not seeing that. My Elliott Wave count for Ethereum considers a third wave at minuet, minute, minor, intermediate, primary and cycle at higher time frames. A third wave now at 6 degrees is in its early stages. I'm tentatively going to label this little movement here a leading contracting diagonal. I'm tentatively going to label it minuet 1, but I might need to move the degree of labeling down 1 degree. Minuet 2 may not move beyond the start of 1 below 2832.33. It's also possible, though, that minute wave 2 could continue lower as a double zigzag, and if it does, it may not move beyond the start of 1 below 1521.78. This channel I'll be using quite strongly this week around minute 2, draw it from the start of minuet A to the end of minuet B with a parallel copy on the end of minuet A. Minuet C found support at the lower edge. If we see a break above the upper edge of this channel with a full green daily candlestick above and not touching this trend line, then that would indicate that this pullback is complete and the next move up is then underway. If that happens, I'll pull the invalidation point up to the end of minute wave 2, and I'll expect to have a little bit more confidence that that third wave at multiple degrees is in its early stages. Ethereum is essentially in a consolidation as well, but it's not a rectangle pattern. It's got a bit of a downward bias. Finding support about 3050, slowly drifting higher. Resistance expect about 3680. As price moves lower, we have bullish reversal patterns here, bearish reversal patterns about resistance, bullish reversal pattern about support, bearish at resistance, and a couple of bullish reversal patterns at the last two areas of support. We might be completing an evening doji star here. If we see at this session complete lower and then tomorrow complete lower, then I'd expect that this could be a bearish reversal pattern. I'd still be expecting support about 3050. If that were to break, final support at 2720, but overall this looks like a counter trend movement, and there's not strength within downward movement here to suggest that this is the start of a new big bear market. Overall, price is moving sideways and now slightly higher overall with declining volume. I wouldn't expect to see volume increase until we see a breakout. We have seen a little weak bullish signal from on-balance volume for the very short term though, so I would expect this suggests we're going to get more upward movement from Ethereum this week. The signal is not very strong, it's a little bit weak. It's got 3 tests of this line. It's got a little bit of a slope. It's somewhat long held, but not too much. So it's not significant. It's a little bit weak. ADX is declining. There's no clear trend for the short term for Ethereum. A model of stochastics plus support and resistance would expect stochastics to continue higher to further reach overbought and price to continue higher to resistance before an upward swing within the consolidation ends and a downward swing begins. 2 Elliott Wave counts for XRP. This is the most likely I expect, so I've got more detail here. I expect a second wave correction completed as a double combination recently, lasting 40 weeks, following a first wave leading expanding diagonal that lasted 34 weeks. A zigzag for minor W, the double is joined by a 3 in the opposite direction labelled X, and the second structure, minor wave Y, is a flat correction. That's the most common of 2 structures within a double combination, 1 zigzag and 1 flat, not necessarily in that order either way, but that's the 2 most common. Fairly uncommon to see a triangle as part of a double combination. Double combinations aren't extremely common, but they're not that rare. They occur with reasonable frequency, about 4-5%. But triple combinations, in my experience and my research, are extremely rare. I think I've only ever seen 1 or 2 ever in all of the markets I've analysed over 16 years. So that's how rare they are. What that means is if I've got this correct and this is a double combination complete, the probability of intermediate 2 continuing further sideways as a triple is extremely low. What that means is the probability of intermediate 3 being in its earliest days is extremely high, if I've got the structure correct. And so that means that XRP should be in the early stages of a third wave at intermediate, primary and cycle degree. My target for primary 3 is 29.01, where it would reach 15.66 times the length of primary wave 1. That's not a Fibonacci ratio, that's the length of primary 3 to 1 within cycle wave 1. I'm expecting the primary 3 could last about 3 years, that looks about right, which means it could end in June 2025. Now, these expectations are very, very rough guidelines, subject to change as the structure further unfolds. And for my own personal investment, I'm not relying on these or really using these at all. The time guideline slightly roughly. XRP's seen a pullback. Within the pullback there was a pennant pattern. The target was 0.4437. That was met and slightly exceeded at this low to 0.4309, and now we're seeing a little bounce after that. Look for support now at 0.49 to 0.46, unable to break above and stay above resistance at the 54-55 cent range. Price is moving slightly lower overall with very, very light and declining volume. Again, there's not a lot of strength in recent downward movement. This suggests that recent downward movement is a counter-trend movement within the larger pullback or in the early stages of the next upward trend, and not necessarily the start of a big bear market for XRP. If XRP is in a bear market, we shouldn't be seeing very weak downward movement. We should be seeing strong downward movement and weak upward movement as price moves lower. That's not what we're seeing. ADX is declining at this time frame. There's no clear trend for XRP. Price reached support. Stochastics neared oversold. Prices overall moving higher with choppy overlapping movement, which is normal. Expect overall stochastics to continue higher to reach overbought, while price continues overall to reach higher to reach resistance. But when price is in a consolidation, it won't move in a straight line. Expect choppy overlapping movement. That's it from me today with your quick update. I hope everyone had a really awesome weekend.